Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. This is the ZT-0308, and yes, it does look a little different. It's been dressed up with micarta scales from LMF Knives. You can see the original scale in the bag here. This is how LMF will send it out with the micarta scale in it. They've got G10 scales. They've got a couple other things going on. I got mine from USA Made Blade. Scott Whittington was a pleasure to deal with, and so thank you for that. He also throws in some swag when you order, at least he did for me, and I definitely appreciate that. Thank you, Scott. So, by the way, he doesn't pay me. I'm not affiliated with USA Made Blade in any way. I just want to give recognition when people do nice things. So, but as far as this goes, I wanted to make a couple of comments on this and give a quick review of the LMF scales. Overall, the LMF scale itself is very nice. I want to give a quick comparison of a couple types of micarta, so you can get an idea of exactly what you're getting when you get this type of micarta. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of different types of micarta on the channel. This is Alan Putman scales for the Benchmade Bugout. He does stuff for Spyderco, a bunch of Spyderco knives, and also for Benchmade knives. I think he does a couple others as well, but he likes to use this type of pattern on there. And this is the Benchmade proper in micarta, and this is the TRM added in micarta. So as you can see, I do like green or olive green micarta. But I wanted to specifically talk to you about what this micarta feels like, because, sorry, I hit the camera there, because a couple of you may be wondering exactly, what to expect feel-wise, because a lot of people like micarta because of the way it feels. So I'll show you guys a couple of different types of micarta here. This is, as you can see, this is a glossier micarta on the Benchmade. It feels like there's sort of a wax over top, and so it has sort of a tacky quality when you grip it, and it definitely feels a little extra tacky when it's wet. It's probably one of my favorite micartas that I have on any of my knives, but it's definitely the smoothest. So then you've got the TRM Atom, which looks like it would be less smooth, and it is a little bit less smooth on the edges, but is fairly smooth on the actual tops of the scales themselves. It does not feel waxy or slick, and feels fairly grippy, and without feeling specifically tacky. I do like the micarta on here, and it has, like I said, two different types of feelings of micarta. There's a rougher micarta where it's sort of knocked down, the edges are knocked down, and you can see the coloration is different as well. So let's look closely at the grain on these two. Whoops, dropping the knives. Let's look quickly at the grain on these two so you can see what they look like. Again, this is waxier, and this is smooth but less waxy. This one on the Benchmade, the Alan Putman scales, they feel more coarser. I should say they're more coarse than either this or this one, as the feeling goes. But they don't feel quite as tacky. It feels more like you're touching cloth. That more of the cloth is showing rather than the resin. Because that's what micarta is basically, is cloth suspended in resin. So you feel sort of more of the resin in this and this than you do in this, where you feel more of the cloth. Now in this scale, and let's go ahead and look at the texturing on these up close. So you can see this is also a coarse texture on the LMF. And this one you probably feel the most coarseness on. So this, I would say, is the most rugged of the different types of micarta here. However, the texturing on here makes this feel a little bit more rugged overall. But that's due to the texturing, not due to the actual quality of the feel quality of the scale. So here you can see the texturing is there. You can probably see it, on this profile, and but it does feel quite nice and gives you a good amount of grip. So but expect it to be a little bit more coarse than some of these other ones if you have those. As far as the cut of it and the fit on the scales, overall the fit on it is fairly good. I'm fairly impressed with the fit. You can see it fits on pretty well there and there. There is one area where the fit could be better, and that is right here. So you can see right there, there's sort of a lip over top of where the micarta is. So that's probably the only place on this where it's a little bit where the fit isn't quite as good as you would hope, but the fit overall is great. I'm pretty impressed by how good the fit is, and the finish on it is quite nice as well. As far as these scales, I think they run about I think they were about 50 or 60 bucks. Can't remember off the top of my head. But the interesting thing about it is that USA Made Blade. Now I don't know about other companies, but USA Made Blade is offering both the G10 and the versions of this knife, the 0308, with G10 LMF scales or micarta LMF scales, with or without anodizing on the back, depending on the model, pre-assembled, so you don't have to go ahead and take it apart, and they're going for around the same price as the normal knife itself with the regular scale. So I don't know how they're doing, that the normal price on these 0308s is around 300 bucks, and they're charging around 300 for the knife plus the scale at USA Made Blade, plus anodizing. So I think that's a great deal, and something you guys should go check out if you're interested in this knife. I happened to get the knife separately, and then I later ordered the scale because that deal wasn't available at the time. I'd probably take advantage of it now if I didn't have one already. I will note a couple things about the ZT-0308. I'll do a separate review of it, but I want to note when I took it apart, I did notice that even though the action was pretty good before, there was no oil inside and it was running kind of dry. So I oiled it, and now the action is amazing. I'll also mention that as far as the disassembly, so I didn't have my I would say take the lock side off first if you're going to disassemble it. But I didn't have my wrench, which is what you need to take this apart. So I ended up I have a carbo cage, and I ended up using that carbo cage to, the depression in here, the carbo cage, to catch the part of the wrench or the part of the nut here, and, use that as my wrench. And kind of interesting that it worked. I just wanted to point that out. But the main thing I wanted to point out was that when you take this apart, you got to take these 3 screws off. You're going to have to take them off both sides in order to do that. And because you have to get the pivot out, and so you've got to take the whole thing apart. And so if you take the screws off of here, these standoffs they're attached with a screw on this side and a screw on this side, screwed into the standoffs. So what you're going to need to do when you open it up is you're going to need to, have a T8, which is what they are, T8 on both sides, and make sure you stabilize one as you turn the other. I'd also suggest, pre-loosening all 6 of these screws before completely opening up the knife. That'll help you to not have to figure out a way, to use pliers or something to hold the standoffs as you disassemble the knife. So just a couple quick tips, but thank you guys for watching. Definitely these LMF scales are pretty nice, and I'm happy I got it. So I just wanted to relate that to you, and hope this demonstration with the different types of micarta was helpful to you. Thanks so much for watching.